next time you need auto parts and accessories, trust the parts professionals at the 108 Seattle O'Reilly Auto Parts stores. Our professional parts people know what it takes to get the job done right. Professionals have counted on O'Reilly Auto Parts for decades. Now you can too. Professional parts people, O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to my show. It is Friday, and I hope everyone had an amazing week. I'm your host, Diana Belleros, award-winning author. You can find my books on Amazon and my publisher's website, Infinity Publishing. Today, we have an amazing woman, author, Betsy Otter Thompson. She's my guest for a second time. The first time we talked about her book, The What Happens If. Today, we'll talk about her book, LoveHuman. Betsy Otter Thompson is, in addition to walking through illusion, Jesus speaks of the people who shared his journey, published by all books. Betsy Otter Thompson is an author of the following books: The Mirror Theory, The Way to Inner Peace, Resolution and Transformation, published by Hampton Publishing, 2005. Love Parent, How to Be the Parent You Hope to Be, 1991, published by Ascension Publishing. LoveHuman, How to Be Who You Love, 1992, published by Ascension Publishing. You Are What You Think, Make You Fuck Delicious, 1993, published by Ascension Publishing. The What Happens If book, How to Make Reaction work for you instead of against you, 1996, published by Ascension Publishing. And she's here today to tell us everything about LoveHuman, and of course she will share some information about the rest of the books she has written. So hi, Betsy Otter Thompson. How are you today?
Hi, how are you today, Diane?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for being on my show for a second time. I'm so happy to have you. And I wish you all the best with all the wonderful weeks, all the wonderful books you have written so far. So please tell us about your book, LoveHuman.
Well, LoveHuman is about finding comfort in a world where uncomfortable things happen and seeing the big picture of where we come from, where we are going, so that we gain some perspective on what this journey is all about. Because it has all the questions. I wrote it from, my own questions of my life and what the meaning behind it was. And the message that I received helps us to embrace the world as it is and people around us as they are, and to love whatever that is, not because it's a perfect world, but because as we love and accept people and everything as it is, love and acceptance grow. And so we want to give our energy to what is positive so that positivity grows. And so that's what the book is about a lot. And in between there are a lot of veering off into different categories.
Wow, that's amazing, and this is a wonderful message. Yeah, we should have to learn to accept people the way they are and love them the way they are. Don't try to change them because sometimes people try to change others to fit their perception, which is something we shouldn't do. Because
yes.
to be,
we can't do it because we don't know what they're here to live. We don't have any idea. That's, our soul, my soul knows what I'm here to live, and your soul knows what you're here to live, but we don't know what other souls have in mind for the journey. So it's a lot of wasted time and a lot of wasted energy to focus on what other people are living. Instead, really, we're here really to focus on our own journey and what we're living, and if we're creating what we want to create for ourselves.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's very important to allow others to be who they are and to see what they're capable of. And when they are who they are, they're happier and they can do more about others and they can have a happy life. And, of course, we want to see everybody happy and fulfilled. And, of course, this helps to have happier families, happier children, and the things go on and on and on.
Yeah, well, not everybody can be happy every second, but if you can find the growth in what you have lived, or you find the growth in the pain, that's what it's all about. Because that's why we live it in the first place. We don't go through ordeals for no reason at all. We go through it because the soul believes that we can find growth from going through it. So when we find the growth, the ordeal is over, and we move on to wherever we can find more growth.
Absolutely, absolutely. What is your advice in the book in this kind of situation where people are trying to change others to be somebody they're not? Is there something like a chapter?
I think they're spending a lot of energy where it's destructive instead of constructive, because why would you want to attract that back? Do you want people to come into your life who try to change you? Because if you put out the energy that people aren't measuring up or they aren't living what they're supposed to live, then that's the kind of person you draw back into your life, the person who says to you, you're not the person you're supposed to be and you should be living something else. So you have to ask what kind of energy you're putting out there, and if you want to get it back. If you want to get it back, if you don't want to get it back, then don't put it out.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's like your mirror theory, a theory, the book you wrote about it. I think you're talking about.
Yeah, we live in a world where energy, everything is energy, and energy is. We live in a balanced universe of action-reaction. The cosmos is balanced, and so therefore, with all the planets, and therefore everything in the cosmos is balanced, and we are part of that. And so we live in balance too, but our balance is emotional. We don't necessarily get back. I mean, if we act towards another in a cruel way, we don't necessarily get cruelty back from that person, but we get it back from somewhere because we've put it out into the universe that we think it's fine to be cruel. And so the universe, the universe thinks everything is love, so the universe interprets that as your idea of love as being cruelty, and then it sends your idea of love back to you. So ask yourself if you want to receive what you're giving, because if you don't want to receive it, you need to change what you're giving so that you do like what you get back.
Absolutely. Everything is energy. We are connected with one another. That's a very important issue, and everybody should be aware of it. And very often people ask themselves, why this happened to me? What did I do to trigger this? And I think this answers the question.
Yes, well, we can't. I haven't always known why things have happened to me that have happened, but I have known how to. I didn't know for the first half of my life how to deal with it, but I eventually realized that everything that came to me was an opportunity for me to see myself in what is happening and how I was growing from it. Because I think the soul in all of us is wise, and therefore the soul never has us living something that isn't helpful in some way or another in terms of our own personal growth. And so it's about having faith in our own soul, and I think as soon as we have faith in our own soul and the wisdom of what it brings to us to experience, then we can have more faith in the souls of other people, because they're living here just as we are for the growth they need, and not the growth we need. People progress for their own sake, not for our sake. We have our own lives to progress through. We don't have to have other people doing what we think they should do. We only need to do what we want for ourselves.
Absolutely. And talking about the soul, how important is for the person to be themselves, for the soul to bring the best out of them? How important is this?
It's everything, because we come here to be our who we are. We come here to be our authentic self. And in fact, in my own life, it wasn't until really halfway through my life that I was willing to acknowledge the gift I have of communicating with spirit, and I tell you that the negation of that talent and the living in blame that I was doing got me almost homeless. And so it was as soon as I acknowledged the gift and said, I'm going to acknowledge the gift. I'm going to use the gift, and I want to share it with others, but I need a job to support me while I do it. And 3 weeks later, I had a job in the entertainment business that I had for the next 18 years and supported me while I did my writing. And so it's almost like the universe is waiting for you to be your authentic self. It's waiting for you to acknowledge who you are and why you came here and what you're here to do. And then as soon as you do, the universe rushes in with all the support you need to be that person. And if you don't have a specific goal that you think you have in mind, then just love everything that your soul brings to you, because that's what you're here to do. You're here to appreciate who you are and what you have created for yourself to live this journey.
So, do you picture your life if you didn't take this risk, you didn't leave everything behind and just went to California to try to see what is there for you?
Well, I followed my instincts in going to California. I had a little spiritual experience where I think I knew as a child that I wanted to go to California. I always had thoughts of going to California. And I was in New York at the time, and I had this, I don't know how to explain it. All I know is I was walking down the street by myself, and I heard a voice inside of me say, it's time to go. And I knew exactly what I was supposed to do. I had my apartment sublet in 2 weeks, and in 3 weeks I was in California, and I went there, didn't know anybody. I just knew I was supposed to be there, and shortly after I arrived, I went to a meeting one night. A friend asked me to go to a meeting one night, and it turned out that it was Marianne Williamson speaking on the Course in Miracles, and from that day on, I knew that my life was going to turn around, and because I was hearing these ideas about taking responsibility for the choices you have made and what your life is, and as soon as I took responsibility, instead of blaming everyone else for the situation I'd gotten myself into, I attracted people into my life who were also taking responsibility and not blaming others. So I know how this attraction of energy works firsthand in my life, because I can tell you that there wasn't anything good that happened from blaming everyone else, except that I attracted a lot of blamers back to me. And as soon as I took responsibility for who I was and for the fact that I had made the choices I had made, I attracted people into my life who were also taking responsibility and taking and using and being the person that they came here to be.
Absolutely, and a lot of people I'm hearing around are very skeptical about the energy, how the energy works, and they're not open to the idea that on the energy level we actually attract the same people on the same energy level. So, what can you tell to these people? Can you please explain to them how this works?
They can experiment on their own. I mean, there's no mystery about it, and there's no mystique attached to it. But you can't prove to another person that it works. You can only tell them that they can test it and see what happens. You know, if you don't think it works, then be mean to somebody and see what happens. You'll see somebody will come into your life and be very mean to you, and that's the only proof you really need. Then if you want to test it I recommend testing it in a more positive way and giving something of yourself to others in some way that makes it comfortable for you, and then attracting people into your life who are comfortable with you and giving to you. I mean, it's not something that you can persuade somebody is true. They have to live it and experience to believe that it is so.
Yeah, you cannot be mean with somebody. You cannot treat somebody with disrespect and expect the other person to treat you differently, to be nice to you, to be loving to you. And I think there is a huge misconception here.
There might be misperceptions in other people, but, you know, truthfully, Diane, there isn't anything that you can do about other people's misperceptions except live what you believe is true. I mean, you can talk forever about ideas that you believe in, but it isn't until people see you living your ideas and the happiness it is bringing you that they really want to try it for themselves. Because people learn by example. You know, when you can know how children are, they can watch their parents doing a lot of things, and they can hear their parents saying a lot of words, and it isn't the words that they follow, it's the example they follow. Because the example is the acting out of the ideas that you believe in, and that's your reality. The words are just noises coming out of your mouth. They're just noises. I mean, when you listen to someone speaking a foreign language, it's just noises to you. But to when someone does something and acts out and does something kind for another person, that is something that is felt. And then anybody can recognize that. Whatever language they speak, they can recognize that. And that's where our realities are, in our emotions and what we are and how we are putting ourselves out into the universe.
Absolutely. And to tell the truth, I have experienced it for myself so many times. Always nice words, good words, loving words, showing love to somebody. You receive in return the same thing, and people are so acceptable of the way you treat them, the way you talk to them, the way you express yourself. Well,
I mean, I don't know what to tell you because I have a lot of, I don't try to convince people of what I believe. They ask me a question, then I answer them honestly. But I don't think that you can convince other people about an idea that they don't want to accept. I wait for people to ask me the questions. I write the books, and then if they have a question, they ask me a question about it, and I answer it to the best of my ability. But I don't go out trying to spread any kind of philosophy to people who aren't open to it. And I don't think that that is a loving thing to do anyway, because people have the philosophy they need in the moment they have it. And who are we to say that they shouldn't have it? Who are we to say they should have different ideas? I mean, people progress at their own rate, and they have the ideas they need in the moment. Maybe we don't agree with them. Maybe we don't think that they're creating good things in their life because they have those ideas, but it's their life to do with as they please.
Absolutely, and we cannot change them, like you said. And people change if they want to change. People listen to you if they want to listen to you. It's just that the idea of the energy level we are, it's really hard for some people to accept the fact that the energy is very important.
Yes, but if they don't believe it's important, then they have a right to their belief too. I mean, I don't think people are at different stages of growth, and they're here for different reasons. And just because we don't understand the reason doesn't mean it isn't a good reason. And just because we don't understand their beliefs doesn't mean that the belief isn't right for them in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, when you're miserable, you are attracting people like this who are miserable like you. And how to help someone who is in this kind of situation? Because some people tell me, I'm so miserable, I'm so unhappy, and I am talking to people, and they're in this kind of situation just like me. And I don't try to change them. I'm trying to help these kind of people by telling them that they should not be in this kind of crowd. They should be surrounded by happy people, people who are really open to exploring new horizons, doing things which make them so happy. And it's really hard. Here is the problem, actually, and it's really difficult to help someone in this kind of situation. What's your advice?
Well, I think you're doing what you're trying to help them, and that's the most you can do for somebody. Just because they aren't listening to you doesn't mean you aren't doing your best to help them. I don't think that we can help everybody, and why should we? They have the help they need. This is where trust comes in, that people are finding the people they need to find for the help they need. And the help that they need may not look like the help you need or the help I need. Doesn't mean it isn't legitimate help for them. Everybody's out there living their life and attracting energy to them that they're compatible with. So there isn't anything you can do if somebody is determined to be a complainer and determined to find everything that's wrong with their life. There isn't anything you can do except tell them that the more they are that way, the more it will grow. That's all. That's all you can tell them. You can't make people change. There's just no way. And why would you? You know, people change when it suits their growth, not when it suits our growth.
So
nobody. I mean, I know. For instance, in my own life, I know that my parents and my sisters, they all thought I was making the most ridiculous decisions I ever could make, and still, I had to make them for my own growth. I had to do it my way. This is what it's all about. Each person has to do it their own way, and it wasn't until I was ready to change and to change my outlook on life that I was able to do it. So people have, and I went a long time. So I know that I thought I was doing my best, and nobody else seemed to think it was. But what could you do? I mean, you can't do something that's impossible for you to do. You do the best you can. I think most people are doing the best they can. And also we have to remember from the bigger picture of life that people come here to play a specific role, and just because we look at the role and don't think it's a good role or the right role somebody should be playing doesn't mean it isn't the role they signed up to play. And the soul has an overview of the life, and the soul is wiser and knows what we have lived in a past lifetime. So the soul knows what we need to live this lifetime. And when you say that somebody isn't living what they should be living, what you're really saying is the soul in them is a dummy. And that's impossible. The soul is all wise. The soul has the big picture and knows what's up for that person, for each person. And so it's just about having faith that they are on the path they need to be on. I mean, when I ask myself what I want to hear from other people, I don't want them telling me that I haven't grown as much as I should have grown, or I don't understand something I should understand. I want them to tell me, "Wow, it's great that you have progressed this far, and I honor your path and I honor what you're trying to do." That's what I want to hear. So I know that's what other people want to hear.
Absolutely, you're doing what is right for you, what you feels right for you, because it feels right for you inside when you're doing the right thing. And I don't know if you notice when you go on vacation and you feel like even the air around, everything around, it kind of makes you feel relaxed and you're enjoying everything. But I don't know, there are some places you go, it just kind of, you feel confused. You don't feel you feel like you're out of place. I don't know if you ever experienced this kind of feeling.
Well, I think if you feel out of place, then it's about finding a why. Why do you feel out of place, or why are you uncomfortable with the people you're with? Because everybody is with you. Everybody who comes into your life is a gift to you to reflect to you something about yourself. And so if you're uncomfortable with some people around you and don't feel good about them, then they're there as a gift to you to show you something you need to look at in yourself. I mean, I know this. This has certainly been my experience, that people are a reflection, because we live in a house of mirrors. Compatible energy finds compatible energy. So if you're somebody who is always complaining about life, you're going to find other people who are always complaining about life. I mean, when you're always blaming other people for your situations, you find other people who blame everyone for their situations. It's just the way it works. It's just the way the balance of the universe works. And so to live this game successfully, you have to know the rules that run the game. I mean, everything in life, everything we see in the world of matter, it has rules around it. If you play football and you run out of bounds, you aren't in the game anymore. And if you play baseball and you don't ever play by the rules and where you're supposed to stay in bounds, then you're out of the game. So it's no different. That's just a metaphor for what we're living in our lives. There are rules here, and the rules have to do with the physics of the universe, the physics of the universe in which we live. And it is people come into your life to reflect the perfect mirror of who you are in the moment. What you have given to others is given back to you. And the universe is generous. So if you have given a little cruelty, it gives you a lot of cruelty back, so you get the message. And if you give a little love, you get a lot of love back, so you get the message.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. So how is your book, LoveHuman, explains this to the readers who are buying your book and who want to buy their book, how this is going to help them?
Well, it has a different chapters, and every chapter is about a little phase of the idea that we live in this balanced universe. And every chapter has, in this book particularly, has like chapters on our imagination and how we are really. It gives a broader picture of humanity, and it goes back to when we all our collective energy created this earth and to play in. And after we had created it where it could sustain human life, we came here to enjoy it. And when we came here, I think we knew we were the energy of love, the energy of God, and so we could come and go whenever we wanted to. And it takes us on a path through the many phases we've gone to in our effort to stay here. When we first came, I believe we could come in and out of form whenever we felt like it. The next day we wanted to be somebody different. We were somebody different. And I think that the things that are happening out in, with people making different choices in terms of their sexual preference and all that is just happening to remind us that one time we didn't even have the sexes at all because we didn't have to reproduce. We just came and played here when we wanted to. And it's getting us into a non-judgmental frame of mind of just accepting people for who they are and the message they are bringing. I feel that the book is very broadening in this aspect, and that it forces us to take a look at the big picture of our existence instead of the small picture of every day, what is happening every day, and to bring understanding and compassion for people's journeys and where they are and what they are doing instead of using that judgment so much. We put so many judgments on people who are doing something different, like different was wrong. Sometimes people who live what is different are the ones who lead us into marvelous, wonderful inventions and things that can improve our life if we're only open to the fact that different doesn't have to be bad. Different can be good.
Yeah, and different, like you said, we judge people who are different, and you perceive to be bad people who shouldn't be looked after, people who shouldn't be a role model in life, and it's a huge thing. And I think this is actually the problem with the violence we are having right now, because we are not accepting others the way they are, like sexual preference, for example. And as you said, it's kind of hard. It's very hard playing to others. Where is the root of the problem we are facing right now?
Well, the violence is reflecting the violence of. If we live a violent life, we are in amidst the violence. But if we don't live a violent life, we have our own mirror. If we're living a peaceful life, we're living with other peaceful people. If we think that war is a wise way to live, then you're with other people who think war is a wise way to live. I don't know. You don't find. There's never going to be peace on this earth for everyone until everyone has a peaceful heart. But that doesn't mean that you can't find your own peace by being the person you wish other people would be. It's not about telling people they have to get peaceful. It's about getting peaceful.
Absolutely. That's how I feel also, the same way.
Yes.
And yeah, and I don't feel violence is the way actually to make somebody to fit your way of seeing things, and to be someone you would like to see him to be. Because I can see some gay and lesbians, they're trying to make through them normal other people. They're normal people, but they just trying to change them, and this is not possible.
Well, it's not even desirable. People need to be there. People are individuals, and they need to be who they are. And why can't they be who they are? Why? They're not. It's not. People aren't hurting anybody. Why can't they be who they are? It doesn't make any sense when you think about it. It's just we hold on to these judgments of how things are supposed to be. But it isn't. It is. We're all on individual journeys, and individually we can find what is important to us individually. And as we do, we find other people who have the same priorities. But you have to be specific about your priorities. You have to ask yourself, what is it you want to have in your life? You want to know what kind of people do you want to have in your life? When people come to me, there's a chapter in here about romance, and when people come to me and say they want to find their soulmate, or I tell them to sit down and write down on a piece of paper the qualities they want this person to have. And after they write the qualities down, they want them to be considerate. They want them to be respectful of their careers. They want them to be kind to children. So I say, okay, so sometimes you have a list of 30 things they want a person to be. And I said, okay, take each quality one at a time and start to be that person, because that's the only way you're going to attract that kind of energy back into your life. You have to be the person you want to attract back to you. And if you aren't that person, then that person is off finding someone who is like, does have those qualities. You cannot say you want something if you cannot live it yourself. It isn't going to be compatible with your energy. So it doesn't matter if you're talking about romance, or if you're talking about a career, if you're talking about a gift you have. You have to use whatever you have in a way that you want other people to use their gifts or their careers, because that's how you get it. You get it by being the person you want to get back. And there is no other way. I mean, I complained about all the things that were wrong and all the people who had disapproved of me, and so I attracted people back who disapproved of me. And it was, so what I needed to say, or what I needed to grow into, was just to be able to say, they don't agree with me, but so what? They don't have to agree with me. They have their opinions, and they're entitled to their opinions, and I have mine, and I'm entitled to mine. And as soon as I gave myself that kind of self-love, that I accepted myself for who I was, then I attracted people into my life who were also accepting themselves as they were. So it isn't about trying to change other people, because really you can't do it anyway. So we try to do something that's impossible to do and not desirable to do. And gives yourself a lot of heartache in the process. Give yourself a lot of heartache, like, oh, if I'd only done this, they would have been different. That's not true. They are who they are and who they're meant to be. You just have to release them to live their lives the way they see fit. I mean, when I say things like that, the first argument I get is, but what about, people who are out there killing people? Well, just because there's a killer and there's a victim doesn't mean that either of them is not where they're supposed to be, or either of them is not where their soul knows they need to be for overall growth. We just don't know these things, and to try to figure them out is a hopeless game of, things should be different. And things should not be different. You only have to make sure that you're living the kind of life you want to get back, and to trust that the souls in others are wise, and that that their souls know where they need to be, when they need to be there. I mean, you take this earthquake that just happened, and some people lived and some people didn't. And so you wonder why, but we don't have to know why. The soul knows why of each of those people, and that we have to trust that that's true, because we want to trust our own soul. And so we trust that other people and other souls are wise for their journeys, so that we can trust that our journey is wise for us.
What it takes to live your full potential, what you should do?
I didn't understand the question. What did you say?
What you should do to feel your to live your full potential?
To be your full potential is to love who you are. Love who you are at every stage of your life. That's to live to your full potential. I mean, we're all here just to find love. I mean, what else could we be here for? The whole earth was created through love. The whole universe was created through love. We were created through love. So what else could we be looking for but appreciating and loving our life, and loving and appreciating other people's lives? I think it's the bottom line, no matter what. Remember that saying from the Course in Miracles, whatever the question, love is the answer?
Absolutely. And I think it's lack of love that creates all these problems we are having around.
Yes, but we can't change other people. You just have to live the love you believe in, and you can't do more than that. That is the most you can do.
Yeah.
You can't change other people, and it isn't your job to change other people. It's your job to demonstrate the person you wish others would be.
Yeah, and we can balance family duties, everything what we do at home, and we have to learn actually to balance our life, to spend enough time doing things we love, and I think there is enough time if we put some effort into doing things like this, and to help others at the same time, and to be happy by doing the things we love to do and go to work and make money and pay our bills. We can do all of these things together. We have to see possibilities of doing all these things together.
Well, yes, but you just need to do it. You can't make the whole world work the way you want it to work. It just doesn't. I mean, it isn't like that. You do for yourself, and you live the kind of life that you wish others would live. That's really, I think that anything other than that, if you think that you have to, I mean, people go and work. They work for causes, and they work for causes because it's important to them to feel they're giving and that they're contributing and they're doing what they need to do, and that's wonderful. But it isn't about going around and telling people you have to know this and you have to know that, or you have to learn this or you have to learn that. People learn what they need to learn when they need to learn it.
But do you think if people are educate themselves, like, for example, if they buy your book and learn about all this information, like how the energy works, how complaining doesn't help them, but does the opposite, because a lot of people don't know this. And I meet these kind of people, and they don't believe in energy, they don't believe in this information, or they never heard about something like this.
Well, then it's wonderful to introduce the ideas, but what they do with the ideas is up to them. You know, you can only introduce an idea and say that it's helped you, and then they can try it or not try it. But, you know, whether they follow through or not is up to them, not up to you or me. I mean, I'm really one of these people who believes that that you teach by being the person you want to be. I don't think any other teaching is really effective. I really don't. I mean, I share the ideas that I believe in, and I guess some people believe it, some people don't. But when I've gone through my life and with these ideas, and it really hasn't. You know, when I first heard the ideas, I thought they were so wonderful and they were changing my life, and I felt like I had to go out and tell everybody about, you know, what I believed in. And you know what I attracted back? I attracted back people who were patronizing me. Patronizing me as if I didn't know what I was doing or I didn't know what to think, and I had all the wrong ideas. And so I realized that I was getting back exactly what I was giving out. I was acting like I knew all the answers and nobody else had the answers that mattered. And so that a lot of people came back in my life who treated me that way. And so it isn't about going out there and trying to change people's viewpoints about anything, because they have the viewpoints they need at this time of their history, their emotional history, and they're where they need to be, and they're no less wise than anyone else. They're living the life that is wise for them. And so I've come to believe that I can only live as the person that I wish others would be, and if they like it, they like it, and if they don't, they don't. So what? I'm still living the life that I want to live. I'm still creating for myself what I want to have in my life by what I give to others and what I do. And that's the way it's going to be. And people who have like energy find each other, and whether they have like energy because they are a loving person or whether they have like energy because they're a cruel person. And they have their lessons, and they're learning just as, you know, every person has, you know, we're all equal in this because the universe is returning to us whatever we put out. We're all equal. Nobody is wiser or less wise in terms of how the universe works. If you try it and see if it works for you. If it works for you, then you know you're going to keep doing it. Because when you start giving love, and love starts coming back, and you say, "Wow, that works," so that you aren't about to go back to the old way.
That's true. Yeah, completely. I completely agree with you, definitely. And is it possible to give love and in return to never get love back?
Well, it may not come back from the person you gave it to, but it comes back. You just have to be open to it coming back, you know, not necessarily from the person who wasn't kind to you. I mean, you don't, you know, if you give the person to a person and you expect them to give back to you, then you aren't giving from the spirit of just giving. You're giving with expectations. Don't give with expectations. Expectations are awful. Because I've lived with that too, of people giving to me with the expectation of me doing something back for them. You give just because you want to receive love, because you want to receive the love you're giving, but don't be closed to where that love is going to come from. It may come from a completely unknown source that you never expected it to come from, but don't expect it to come back from the person that you're doing something for. Because you really aren't giving in the spirit of giving. You're giving with expectations of what you're supposed to get back. And that's probably something that people in romantic relationships need to look at. Are you giving because from the sheer joy of giving, or are you giving with expectations of what you're supposed to get back? People give the way they're able to give. Not everybody can give the same way. Not everybody wants to give the same way. They want to give their own way.
Yeah, love should be unconditional and no expectations attached to it. Nothing. You're just being loved, and that's it. You don't accept. You don't expect from the other person anything. And like you said,
yes, and also romantic relationships are a reflection too. There's the old myth that opposites attract. Maybe opposites attract in terms of physical appearance, but they don't. Opposites do not attract instead of emotional energy. Emotional energy attracts like emotional energy. So the two of you are together for a reason. And if you don't notice why you're together, and if you're in a relationship and you're unhappy and you don't understand why you drew that into your life, you recreate it again with another person, the same situation. And I speak from personal experience. It's only after you have recognized, how this person is like you, that you can do something different, that you can change yourself. That's the way we learn, by realizing that the people with us are an emotional reflection to help us. And so I can look at it now that they were the gifts I needed at the time they were in my life.
Yeah. We have past lives, and we meet in these lives with the same person, and we can probably spend half of our life together with this person for a reason, and then we have to move on because we fulfilled, actually.
Because why?
The reason why because we fulfilled, actually, the reason why we met together in this lifetime to finish unfinished business from past lives. This happens sometimes.
Yes, it happens that people move on because they no longer have that mirror. And it's possible that they move on to someone with the exact mirror if they haven't looked at who they are in the past relationship. They haven't looked for how the person they were with was mirroring something in them. If you go forward looking for a relationship and you're very needy, you find another person who's very needy in some way. And until you look at that in yourself, that you have this neediness, that you're trying to get something from the other person that you really need to get from yourself, you go on to another relationship, and it's the same relationship all over again. The person looks different, person has a different name, but it's the same relationship.
That's true. You have to learn to love yourself first, to enjoy your company being by yourself. To love the time spending by yourself.
You have to understand why people are in your life, and why, especially when they make you think, when you have an uncomfortable feeling about them, or they make you feel uncomfortable. Then you have to really look at why, what it is uncomfortable about them, how it makes you feel. If you're with somebody who's making you feel uncomfortable, ask yourself, how are you feeling uncomfortable? Well, maybe you're feeling pressured to do something you don't want to do, or maybe you're feeling taken advantage of. Okay, so then you have to ask yourself, how am I pressuring other people to do what they don't want to do, and how am I, what was the other thing I said? I lost my train of thought. It's the same thing. You have to ask yourself how you're doing exactly what you're upset about the other person doing to you, because that's the only way that you can have somebody in your life who is more considerate, or who is more doesn't pressure, who accepts. You have to accept other people instead of pressuring them, and then you get back people in your life who are accepting. It's just, and I can talk about this for, days, and it won't mean a thing to the person who isn't willing to try it. And so you have to try it yourself to prove that it works for you, and that's the way it should be. It should be that you have to do it for yourself to prove to yourself that it works, because that's the only way you really believe that it does. You don't believe it works because other people tell you it works. You believe because you tried it and it did.
First, I think you have to understand that. I think this is the first part. And as I said, some people ask, why is this happening to me? Why this keeps happening to me? What am I doing wrong? And they just don't look at the things from your perspective. And that's where it comes. They need to educate themselves. I think that's the first step before the problem could be solved.
Well, you can tell them what to do. You can tell them to sit down with a piece of paper and pencil and to write down. They want to know why they created it, why this person's in their life. So they have to write down on a piece of paper all the things that they don't like about the person, and why they don't want them in their life, or why they wish they were not in their life. And then they have to take all those qualities one at a time. And so let's say that they say, okay, we mentioned pressuring. Okay, I feel pressured and I don't like it. That's one. Okay, I feel patronized and I don't like that. Okay, I feel disrespected. Okay, so that's three things right there. So if you're in a relationship where you're feeling this, then you have to say, okay, who am I pressuring? It doesn't have to be the other person. It can be somebody else in your life. It could be anybody in your life. Who am I pressuring? As soon as you realize who you're pressuring, you can stop pressuring. And then the person in your life, it's a romantic relationship, they may pressure you. They may continue to pressure you, but even if they do, you won't feel it. If you aren't pressuring other people, it isn't going to impact your aura. We all have this aura around us, and in that aura are all the ideas that we're putting out into the universe. Therefore, if an idea comes back to us that we have not given, it bounces right off our aura, which means that we don't feel impacted by it. We aren't hurt by it. We aren't insulted by it, because we have not done the same thing to others. So if you feel patronized, you have to ask yourself, who have I been patronizing? And as soon as you discover who it is, you stop patronizing. And then if you stop patronizing and the person in your life keeps patronizing you, you won't feel it. And pretty soon, if you're doing one thing and your partner is doing something else, you won't be compatible anymore. It won't be compatible.
You can put
and when you're not
people,
compatible, you separate. Yeah. You separate so that each of you finds the compatible partner.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're trying, doing the same thing. You're being nice, you're being loving sometimes, and you're doing your best. You're even trying to go out of your way to be somebody you are not sometimes, just because you want to keep the relationship going, which is the wrong thing to do. But here it comes, the most important part. You are not just compatible with each other anymore. You just have to separate.
Right. If you're doing one thing and your partner is doing something else, you won't feel compatible anymore. Because we each attract the mirror of whoever we are, and if you aren't a mirror any longer, then you aren't compatible any longer.
Absolutely.
And you don't even have to do anything. The universe will do it for you, because the universe will separate you without you even realizing what happened. It's just the way it works.
Yes. This is very, very pivotal point, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, can you share with us where the listeners can find your books?
Yes, they can find my book by going to my website, which is BetsyThompson.com. And on my website, it has all the books and information about the books. And also it has all of my social media, which is LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. And you can go and click on those. And so it's BetsyThompson.com. And I hope you look into my website and have fun with it.
Do you have a YouTube channel where people can? Do you have videos and
I do have a few of them up. I haven't done one for a long time. I have a few up, and you can get to them all from my website. The links are on my website.
So all the information is there. Any events, any book signings coming?
No, but I'm going to be at an expo in New Hope, Pennsylvania, in June, where I'll have my books and I'll be doing readings. And so, if anybody is in the area, they could go to the expo in New Hope, near New Hope, PA, Pennsylvania.
Let me go back just a little bit and ask you how talking to spirits helped you in your life, because you said you were talking to spirits when you were 5 years old.
Yes. Well, I was talking to spirit. My mother was always telling me that I looked like her grandmother, who is my great-grandmother, who had died a day before I was born. And so I, at a very young age, decided that I would, talk to her and see if I was like her in other ways. And I didn't think anything about it. I just talked to her at night, and we had lovely conversations. And then I told my sister, who was 2 years older, what I was doing, and she really went. She flipped out. She really went. She yelled and screamed at me, and she teased me for weeks. And so I decided, well, if that's a reaction I get from this, I certainly want to hope she doesn't tell anybody else. And so I didn't do it again until I was in California, and I was almost homeless, and knew my knife wasn't working, and decided that I had nothing to lose if I honored the gift, and everything turned around. Everything turned around within a couple of weeks, and I was in a new job, and I had a job that supported me while I wrote for the next 18 years, and then I retired to write full time. But it was, and in my job, it was more than just financial support. I learned a lot of lessons about dealing with my mirror, people who came into my life who were reflecting something in me that I needed to look at. And so it was beneficial in every possible way, which I think is what's true for everybody. If you're in a job that if you're in a job and you're unhappy there, you have to ask yourself, am I treating the people in this job the way I want to be treated? Am I finding the gift that each person brings to the company? Am I complaining? And because if you haven't found the love in where you are, you aren't going to find the love in where you go. That's the basic tenet that you need to remember. Doesn't matter if you change jobs, but you aren't appreciating where you are. You bring yourself with you into the new job, and if you haven't appreciated the old, you aren't going to appreciate the new. And if you haven't appreciated the people you worked with in the past job, you aren't going to appreciate the people you worked with in the present job.
Yeah, that's true. Both is very important thing. Very important thing. You have to always look at the things from the perspective of love, and things work this way. Love open doors everywhere, open hearts, open minds, everything.
Yeah, I think it's easier. I find it's more effective if you look at things from the perspective of growth, because I think people balk when you say you have to love others. I mean, sometimes people aren't lovable, and you don't want to love them, and you don't have to love them. You just have to accept that they're on their own journey. But what you do have to do is you have to ask, well, how are they forced me to grow? Because that's really the issue. It isn't about whether they change or they don't change. It's about whether you are finding the growth you need. How are they helping you to find the growth you need? Because when you find how you have grown from knowing people, or how they have helped you to see something in yourself, you automatically move on, because you move on to the people who can help you more.
Yeah. Is there a limit of love? Is the love limitless, or there is limit of love? How much love you give to people?
Well, I mean, I think that you can give respect. I think it's more important to give respect, and because love is a term that gets misunderstood, but everybody understands what respect means. You respect other people and the path they're on, because that's what you want for yourself. You don't necessarily want other people to love you. You want them to respect your path. And so if you give respect, then you receive respect. And I wouldn't, the word love gets pushed around a lot. I think if you want to ask yourself, if you want to find more love in your life, then take a good look at what you don't think has love, because that's where it is. Where else could it be but where you don't think it is? You already have love in your life. Everyone has some love in their life. So if you want more, you have to look for it where you don't think it exists. And that's in the people that you don't think have any love in them, and it's in the ideas you don't think have any love in them. Now, if you want more love, that's what you have to do.
Yeah, and sometimes you just have to move on, and you have to leave behind the people. As you said, you cannot change, and they cannot love you the way they are. People who want to change you, they don't accept you, they don't see you grow. The best way to do it is to move on with your life, just forget about this relationship, and sometimes even relatives are involved in this kind of connection, and it's not healthy for the person who is always forced to take this misunderstanding and this way of treating, of how the way this person is treated, and it's not healthy. It's just not healthy.
Right. Well, Diane, if you stay in a relationship where you're being abused, then you are abusing yourself. And so if you are abusing yourself by being in that relationship, then you can expect other people to abuse you while you're in it. And you have to respect yourself to garner the respect of other people. And to respect yourself is to love yourself and to believe in yourself and to honor who you are. And if you aren't doing that in a relationship, why would you expect the other person to do it? They aren't going to give you anything you don't give you to yourself first.
Absolutely.
I don't think people think about that. I don't think they ask themselves, why am I in this relationship? Why am I putting up with this abuse? Well, you're putting up with it because you're abusing yourself by being there.
It looks like it's okay for you to be treated that way. You're just sending this kind of message.
Yes, you are. You are. And you find the person who agrees with you.
Yes, you cannot attract the person who wants the way to be treated, and it's just everything is so connected. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So, do you want to share anything else from LoveHuman, from your book, with us today? We have about 3 minutes.
I think we covered a lot of things. This principle of getting what you give works with health too. Works with health and it works with prayers. I mean, I love the chapter on prayers because it's about what makes a prayer powerful. And the book posits that we have some confusion around the nature of answered prayers. For instance, when we pray for others to change their minds, change their behavior, and alter their loyalties, I don't think God responds to that kind of a prayer. When we pray for others to be more loving and more considerate and more honest, I don't think God responds to that either. God responds, God knows that change begins within. So when we pray for God to help us become more loving, loyal, and considerate, I think God rushes in with the situations that give us the chance to make that happen. But, I mean, I don't think that the energy of God believes that people should be doing what they aren't doing, and God supports us in whatever growth we have. So God doesn't relate to a prayer when you ask God to change somebody. God doesn't want to change anybody. He wants to accept and love who they are. So, I mean, that was kind of a breakthrough for me when I read that, when I received that message. You have to make sure, asking for, when we pray for others to change, it's just another form of criticism. Criticism doesn't create change because praise creates change. So we only need to praise the efforts of others and release them to whatever they need to live.
Yeah, we have to help ourselves for God to help us. We have to take the first step, and God is going to support us and help us on our way when we are doing what we're supposed to do, and we are respecting ourselves, loving ourselves, doing things we are meant to do.
Yes. The prayer that God understands is the one in which we are grateful for the answers being revealed. And I think the answers that we seek are in the people that face us. They help us to see ourselves. Why is this happening? The answer to why is this happening is that you're making it happen for other people. It's happening to you because you're making that happen for others. If I get caught up in words there, but whatever you are giving out, you are attracting back.
Okay, we are almost to the end of the show. Thank you so much, Betsy Otter Thompson. It was a pleasure talking to you again. I wish you all the best. I hope people will go and buy your books. You can find the books on Amazon.com. Please go and buy her books and find for yourself how the energy works and how you can help. Thank you so much to the listeners who were with us today. Have a wonderful weekend. Till next Friday. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.